to Derek Fenner. And even though he was knocked down a few times, had great protection overall today. Ball at the 26, first down. Evans will throw it again, and the pass is knocked down by Derek Frazier, intended for Darryl Hobbs.
I'll tell you, a couple of things that you got to be aware of. If you're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, this guy 23, Derek Frazier, he's played very well today. I mean, he knows what he's doing out there. He had a rough one last week. You got to respect the speed. I'll tell you, he's made a lot of plays today. And I think that was one of the positions that the Eagles were worried about, and I think they've got to be pleased with his play.
The biggest problem has been the offensive line. Darryl Hobbs with a big day today with 6 catches for 81 yards. He had 52 receiving yards all of last year. So he has exceeded that in one game. Second and 10. Again, Evans going to the air. And this one's caught by James Jett. Well, here's another speedster that they have as a wide receiver.
Yeah, there's a guy who I expected to have a bigger role in this offense this year. So far, it hasn't shown up. There's a guy who's got the great speed down the field. Reminds a lot of people of the old Cliff Branch, old 21, pushing things down the field. But I think with this offense, he's going to have to find his way because to this point, they haven't been pushing it up the field.
Jett with 2 receptions. It'll be first down now for the Raiders on their 41. Hand off to Napoleon Callum. Trying to beat the defense to the outside is slowed down by Eric Zomals. For those of you expecting to see space above and beyond, we will have that program following this game in its entirety, except on the West Coast. 4-yard pickup for Kaufman. Pretty good 1-2 running punch with Williams and Kaufman that the Raiders have to go along with their passing attack.
Well, and I think you have to talk about the interior 3 of the offensive line of those Raiders. You know, Wisniewski and Gogan and Dan Turk. Those guys have really played well. And now, you know, they made the switch tonight now. They got Robbins in for Turk at center. They've blown some major league holes.
Second and 6, and this time Romanowski stops Napoleon Kaufman. And right now, for a McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
Hey, Dick, we all know how important Emmitt Smith is to the Cowboys, but take a look on this play here, the handoff. He's got 116 on the ground already, but hit hard by Terry Hogue, falls on that left forearm, and as you see, he gets up grabbing that left elbow and forearm, being carried to the locker room for x-rays. We'll update you if we get more information. Right now, let's send you back to Oakland. Dick Stockton, Matt Millen.
Well, he doesn't run with an elbow. That's one good thing. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan.
It's going to be a very interesting x-ray coming up. Meanwhile, third down and 5. Evans with good protection, and he's got Darryl Hobbs in the open field. Hobbs with 1 man to beat, and Hobbs will get in for the score. A career game for Darryl Hobbs. And 40-year-old Vince Evans comes in for the first time this year, and coolly and calmly hits Hobbs, who chases it in for a 54-yard touchdown play.
All kinds of time to throw that football. Nice job up front by the tackles. Nice job by Gogan. And Hobbs just finds the center of that zone. And then at the end, I want you to watch 82, James Jett. He just gets on Barry Wilburn, keeps pushing, and allows Hobbs to get inside.
Third year for Hobbs, who was signed by the Raiders as a free agent 3 years ago, originally with the LA Raiders, and a career game for him as Cole Ford kicks the extra point. And it is now 48-17, and for Hobbs, 7 catches, 135 yards, and a spectacular touchdown.
Heck, they know they got their old guy back there, so they got to keep his rocking chair loose. So look at the protection. Look at this. All kinds of times. Step up in the pocket, find Hobbs in the middle of that defense, in between the zones, between the deep and short zone, and then he's just off to the races. Hobbs right in the middle. I'll tell you, Ray Rhodes is going to pull his hair out when he takes a look at this film and see how they're playing those zones, because it looks like the backers are not getting the depth that they should be getting.
And by the way, the Raiders' longest offensive pass play was only 28 yards from Hostetler to Rocket Ismail until now. And this 54-yard strike from Evans to Hobbs, the longest pass play of the year for the Oakland Raiders.
I'd say he's a happy guy. He's the only guy on the Raider team who was around to play in this stadium. In fact, I played against him in the last game here against the Chicago Bears.
I remember it.
And yeah, you should. You called him.
Kickoff, and Charlie Garner bobbles it out of bounds.
Boy, when it rains, it pours. You can do nothing right.
And like last week, the Eagles had a 14-0 lead over the Chargers at Veterans Stadium, only to lose 27-21. Today, the Eagles were up 17-0, only to be crushed at this point 48-17.
I think this kind of sums up the whole day if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. You want to make something happen. You're trying to make a big play, but it's just been out of their reach the whole game long.
For a while, things looked pretty bright for the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Raiders had not answered. Starting from the 4-yard line, Ricky Waters, the setback for Rodney Peete. Waters with a fine run up the middle and a first down. Again, we want to remind you, following football, space above and beyond in its entirety except on the West Coast.
Well, heck, that's what the Raider passing game has been. They found all kinds of space above and beyond that second set of zone. And they've been, heck, they throw that defense out there again, he'll still be throwing.
Second down and 2. Here's Ricky Waters. Looked like he was going to go down a couple of times, and he stays on his feet. He has another first down to the 25. Aaron Wallace making the play.
And the first down. Ball spotted on the 25.
Well, it's back to the old drawing board for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Clock running, less than 2.5 minutes to play. Rodney Peete completes it to Rob Carpenter. We're going to get down to the 2-minute warning. By the way, the 48 points by the Raiders, the most points that they have scored since the third game of last year against the Denver Broncos, when they got exactly 48 points. 2-minute warning here at Oakland Coliseum as the Raiders winning going away. 48 points today, most since Game 3 of last year, but the team record is 56. Set on December the 21st in '69.
10-yard gain on the first.
Well, all the fans got rewarded today that came on all those buses, all the tailgaters, dressed in their silver and black, all the costumes that they wear. Raiders are winning their second home game. Tip ball, incomplete. In case you're interested, the x-rays on Emmitt Smith's injured elbow was negative. So that's good. Good. Underscore that. Good news, great news for the Dallas Cowboys as we take a look at the Raiders' upcoming schedule. And not that pressing, you might say, before their bye, man.
Yeah, they got a good look at the Jets in Seattle, and Denver is playing relatively well offensively, but they'll be pressed against this defense. The Raiders look like they can go pretty far. They look like they're just finding themselves. We mentioned earlier that they don't quite know what they are offensively. They don't have the big play like they did, although today with Hobbs at the end, he got the big play. But this is still a team that's in progress, and I think they're just going to get nothing but better. Philadelphia, on the other hand, Philadelphia's got work to do. They're losing people. They need to get personnel back. they need to get more of a solid performance out of the quarterback position. Cunningham didn't play bad in the first quarter, but then he was just under too much pressure from the defense.
Nearly an interception by Bruce Pickens. And let's take a look at the Eagles' upcoming schedule. They'll play at New Orleans.
4 yards to go.
Yeah, that's a schedule that's winnable for them, too. I mean, they're in the game with every one of those teams. They're just going to have to go back. They have to straighten out their offensive line. It always starts with the offensive line. You have people to work with in Garner and Ricky Waters. I mentioned about the quarterback position, and I think you're going to have to integrate a little bit more of Kelvin Martin into that passing game.
A couple of Warriors of the Eagles suffering the big setback today. 4th down and 4. Rodney Pete's pass is batted down. And Andre Bruce again has played a big role today, and the Raiders will take over. Getting back to the Eagles, the interesting thing is that no one has to worry about the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to win the NFC East. There's no question about that. But the Eagles are in the same classification with other teams who are trying to make wild cards, such as teams like the Giants, the Cardinals, the Redskins, and teams from the NFC Central. That's why the Minnesota win today over Pittsburgh really was a big one for the Vikings.
And it looks like the Minnesota Vikings are starting to play pretty good football. And it looks like Tony Dungy's done a good job with their defense. You know, on the other side of the ball for Ray Rhodes with their defense, they just need people. They just don't quite have a great. They have William Fuller's a pass rush. They need another pass rusher. They need somebody to push the pocket inside. They're a little bit small up front. But I know this. I think he's going to stick with his plan. He knows he doesn't have all the pieces of his puzzle, but he'll work to get them. It's going to have to take some time.
Raiders taking over on downs. First down from the 40-yard line. Napoleon Kaufman slipping. He would have had a few more yards as we get down to a minute and a half to go. And while we have a moment, our thanks to a group of people who have done a terrific job in helping you bring this telecast. Today's game produced by Richard Zients and directed by Artie Kempner. And the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. And a special thanks to Dean Walker and our splendid Fox technical crew.
You know, we talked about the running game of the Oakland Raiders and how, like, Harvey Williams likes to bounce it outside, Napoleon Kaufman likes to bounce it outside, but, you know, they always have the opportunity to go back inside, I think because those two big guards, Wisniewski and Gogan, and then Turk in the middle, because they just keep on blowing people out of there. And as long as you have that, heck, you just fall in the fold and keep going.
You know, and as Al Davis said, you know, the Raiders have been hurt by injury. They lost 2 offensive linemen, Don Mosbar, the center, and Gerald Perry, the left tackle. Nolan Harrison, the defensive end. So Patrick Bates left the club. He hasn't come back. So the Raiders aren't going on all their 8 cylinders either. Joe Bugle with Hostetler, Eddie Anderson. 2nd down and 6. And they're just going to run out the clock here. 7 sacks and 5 turnovers. Look how the games have started off for the Eagles in the first quarter. 30-7. And then the roof has caved in. The Raiders have won it 48-17 here at Oakland. We'll be right back.